Gills fans, and welcome back to our latest Monday review. Unfortunately, I am yet again talking about another narrow 1-0 defeat at the weekend as we lost by that scoreline at Stadium MK. We have a couple of the papers as normal. The Medway Messenger, "Time for Bravery" is the back page headline. Right to miss his late penalty as Gills failed to score again. Unfortunately, we are now the only football club in the EFL without a goal this season in the league. And again, like we've said in previous weeks, as much as it's great that we've reinforced the defensive line, we're still woefully short in attack, it seems, lacking creativity and lacking, obviously, goals, because we've not yet got one this season in 3 league games plus a cup game. From what I've seen and watching Dave on the match day live, it wasn't a bad performance by any means. It's just a case of key things perhaps going against us, or us switching off slightly at key points and things not quite going our way, the ball not bouncing the right way for us. But at the end of the day, like AD has fair enough said in the paper, it's all well and good being in games, but if you don't score goals it means absolutely nothing. So I mean, I've watched the highlights. The penalties are an absolute joke. Theirs isn't a penalty, ours isn't a penalty. But unfortunately we missed ours when it was a great chance for Josh Wright to step up and equalise. And I think now, maybe in my opinion, and I rate Josh Wright highly, plenty of people know that, plenty of people don't rate him as highly as I do, but he's missed his last 3 competitively now, so that's 2 at MK Dons and 1 at Northampton. Maybe it'd be time to step aside and let Tom Eves, who I think actually wanted the penalty on Saturday, to take the next one. But yeah, it is frustrating. What can we do? We can just get back on the training field, etc., and keep working hard. But I think we still need 1 or 2 in advanced areas to maybe come in before the window. Whether that's permanent signings or whether we can get some youngsters in on loan from, I don't know, Premier League or Championship clubs, we'll have to wait and see. Match report inside, Gills left in a spot of bother. Key thing for me is right at the end, Luke Cordell writes a good piece again. The Gills just weren't ruthless enough in the box, and that's cost them another opportunity to prove their doubters wrong. Those who wrote off AD Pennock's men in pre-season are sadly being given plenty of ammunition. It's down to the players to put it right, and it has to happen soon. We need a goal, regardless of how it goes in. We need to score. Whether it goes in off someone's backside, or it's an own goal or a worldie or a scrappy goal, it doesn't matter, but we need to get that first one sooner rather than later, because otherwise it will surely start playing on players' minds more and more, and the longer it goes on, the harder it'll be to rectify. Tom Eves speaks in the paper as well and says we need to stay positive. There's a small piece on Gills bringing in Steve Arnold to provide competition for Thomas Holy. Thomas Hadler has now gone on loan. We know that he went to Gloucester City and kept a clean sheet on his debut. Josh Wright sorry after penalty. Josh Wright apologised after his penalty miss at MK Dons. I'm sure you've all seen on social media that he did tweet after the game and apologise that he should have done better with it and that he was gutted and disappointed, etc. Apparently there should have been a second penalty for Gills, but obviously I wasn't at the game and they've not shown it in the highlights. But Max Amar seemingly was tripped after we'd missed the first one, so there's a case for that. But I can't see Mr. Kettle. We all have our own opinions of Mr. Trevor Kettle, the official who was in charge, and we know what he's like. In terms of the goal that we conceded, I thought again it was rather soft. I've looked at the highlights, and a curious point for me is that there's one of our centre backs at the moment. I'm not going to name him. He gets plenty of stick. He's not good enough. Shouldn't be in the side. He's slow. He gets caught out on the turn too easily. Can't play against pace. Can't head the ball. But it's interesting that yes, he did make a mistake on Saturday. I've read and been told about. But he also made one very good tackle that stopped a near certain goal, and the goal we did concede is appalling from my point of view. It looks like Alex Lacey, number 1, gets stuck under the ball and lets Sal just run off the back of him. But I'm not sure what Conor Ogilvy's doing in behind. He can clearly see the run that's being made. To me, it doesn't look like he tells Alex Lacey to change his position or to just drop back in and pick him up. So it's soft again and it's frustrating. I thought Thomas Holy's made a great save for the penalty and the follow-up, so he seems to be settling down now, which is promising. But it's clear it's not that end that we're struggling. It's up the other end, and it seems still that the chances we're creating are either set pieces or long balls into the box. just a quick look at the Football League paper from Sunday. Just get to ours again. Just frustrates me because we're crying out for Dominic Samuels. Got his 3rd goal of the season. We had him on loan before. That could be a difference maker. I'm not saying we can afford him, but he's just that type of player we'd love to have in our side. And John Marquis again scored, and he was with us a couple of seasons ago. He seems to be stepping up and getting goals regularly at this level. Jermaine McGlashan, man of the match for Southend at the weekend. Pace that we miss out on at the moment. It's just all the things we lack, so it's frustrating to see a number of ex-loanees or ex-players doing so well, who could all probably offer something to us at this current time. In terms of a team next week, I'd like to see us go 4-4-2 and change it up a little. For me, if everyone's fit, I'd go Thomas Holy in goal. I'd like to see Connor Ogilvie just play as a left back. I've heard plenty saying that he doesn't bomb on as much as Mr. Garmston, Bradley Garmston, who's out injured. So let's play him as a defender, as an orthodox left back. I'll then play, if we're dropping one out, I'll probably drop out Max Amar. Because I've been impressed with Gabriel Zaquani all season, and Alex Lacey was impressive for me on his debut last week at home to Bradford, and apparently done all right the weekend aside from the goal. So that would be my 2 centre backs. I'd have Luke O'Neill right back, and if we can get Scott Wagstaff fit, I'd play him from the right, Lee Martin from the left. Billy Bingham for me could be key this season, but we need to keep him fit. I'd like him to sit. And then I'm not sure who were to play next to him at the moment. It would either be for me Josh Wright or Darren Oldacre. He might be able to unlock a defence. So from one of them two to make a midfield 4. And next week I'd start Tom Eaves up front with Liam Nash. Obviously, if Wagstaff's not fit, you could maybe play Josh Parker from the right. But that would be me. I want to get back to basics, back to 4-4-2. Let's try and get some crosses into the box and see if we can get Nashy or Lee Martin or Darren Oldacre, Josh Wright, whoever's running into the box, get them feeding off of some knockdowns and some flick-ons, and see how we go from there. The 3-5-2 I'm not averse to, but at the moment I don't think the wing-backs are quite correct, and that's been said by plenty of others. They seem to be behind the ball all the time, which means we effectively play a flat 5. In terms of results, we're going to incorporate this going forward now, the results roundup for the weekend into this Monday review. Just looking down the list of the games that were played over the weekend in the Football League paper, Blackburn were up and running. That's a great win at Bradford. I don't think Bradford have lost at home for quite a while, so that's an excellent result for Blackburn after their early struggles. As I've said, Dominic Samuels already hit the ground running at this level. Bristol Rovers got up and running. They won 3-2 at Bury. I did say at the beginning of the season, Bury had a lot of players coming in. It'd either go one of 2 ways. They'd either be really good and gel really quickly, or they could struggle. At the moment, it seems to be the latter. They're conceding loads. And after a positive start, they're only 1 place above Gillingham. Charlton thumped our old mate Justin Edinburgh, so if you're that way inclined and looking for crumbs of comfort in Gill's season at the moment, Northampton got spanked again. John Marquis scored a good goal in Doncaster's 3-3 draw with Blackpool, 2 teams that have come up who seem to be settling okay. Fleetwood, said last week, said it again, you know what you get with Uwe Rosler's men. Carried on where they left off, 2-0 at home to Wimbledon. Wimbledon for me started really poorly. I thought they'd be up there. I've got them in the top 6 this season, but they're struggling badly as well. They're in the bottom 4 at the moment, below us, so that's how bad they're playing. Obviously we've spoken about our game. Oldham, usual problems, not horrendous defensively, but they don't score enough like us, and Wigan are absolutely flying. They've come back into this division and have absolutely hit the ground running as well. Ivan Toney, a great signing there for them, he scored. Peterborough made it 3 straight wins, beating Rotherham again. I'm still not sure about them this season. I think they'll end up near the bottom. Their home form might be alright, but I think they're going to struggle away. Jack Marriott got 2 more after his hat-trick last week for the Posh. Portsmouth Walsall, you'd have to say that's probably a better result for Walsall, the 1-1 draw at Fratton Park, and they was only 16 minutes away from winning it. Scunthorpe slowly, steadily going about their business. I think they'd started with consecutive draws and they picked up their first win of the season home to Oxford. That's a really good result because Oxford have started really bright, so you'd just be interested to see how they react now after their first defeat. And the last couple, Shrewsbury, massive surprise package for me at the moment. That's 3 wins on the spin against a Rochdale side that I had to be a lot higher than where they currently are. I think we placed Shrewsbury in a couple of weeks, don't we? That could be a lot harder than perhaps we we'd envisaged, and the final result was Southend at home to Plymouth. Not a bad result for either. Southend won, Plymouth won. Southend on the back of getting that hiding last week at Rotherham, and Plymouth, that's a decent away point again. They sit proudly in the top 10 at the moment. So in terms of standout performances, I'm going to go with one of our ex-loanies. I'm going to go with Dominic Samuel. Again, I think that's 3 goals in a week for him, and he's absolutely flying, and it's good to see and disappointing in equal measure, because it's someone that we're craving, that sort of centre forward. There's a couple of late goals for Forster Kasky in the chart. I'm not going to leave him out. I'm going to go my other 2 then. Jack Marriott for Peterborough, another 2, making it 5 in 2 league games. And Devontae Cole, that's my other standout performer this week. He got the both goals in Fleetwood's win at home to Wimbledon. But to sum up here, in terms of us, let's hope we can get someone in this week. We need a striker or a creative influence to try and unlock a defence, pick a pass and that sort of thing. But if we don't, I think it could be a long, hard season, and unfortunately, those of us, I am one of them, that said it wasn't the right decision to appoint Adi Pennock on a full-time basis back in May. At the moment, we're only, like Luke Cordell wrote, we're only being given more ammunition. I know it's early days and it's only 4 games in if you count the EFL Cup, but it's no goals in 180, 360 minutes of football, and we're not creating loads and loads in open play. Yes, we are creating some. I'd be more concerned if we weren't creating anything, but we definitely need 1 or 2 in attacking areas, or it could be a long, hard season. To be positive, I think if we can get them players in, it could be the difference between having a season of struggling and a very decent season, relatively speaking, obviously compared to the last campaign. I think if we can get in 1 or 2 that can be the difference makers at the top end of the pitch, we could push to try and finish in the top sort of 12 or 14. But at the moment, we're clearly struggling at one end, and although we're only averaging less than a goal a game conceded, we are averaging less than a goal a season scored. Anyway, thanks for watching as always. Please keep doing the usual, and until next time, up the Jewels.